Hello and welcome back to Railroads Online. We're back here on the Crystal Lake Railroad. And if you'll remember in my last episode, we got pretty far into building the yard over by the iron ore mine. And today we're going to be trying to connect the yard up to the smelter. Well, we're not going to be making the smelter today, or making the yard for the smelter today, but we'll get a pretty good start on it. We'll probably end up getting the yard built in, and probably in another episode here soon. Um, I'm already in fly mode here, so we're just going to take a quick look at what I've been able to do after the last recording session. Uh, I'm going to take these rocks out here real quick. I forgot they were there. Don't need those getting in the way. So after complaining about the way I had to build this during the recording, I went back, and as I was editing it, it gave me a little bit of time to think, and I noticed two things, a couple of things. First is that I had one of those little saplings underneath this line here that goes by the woodcutter's shack. And the second was that I could put in a three-way switch here so that whatever train was coming up from the valley to bring, or whatever locomotive was pulling a cordwood train up from the valley, could actually just come right straight into this siding here and then back down into the dock. I also had a little bit of a think on how to structure this so that I could actually put a switch in here so that we could actually get the larger locomotives that'll be coming up this hill uh, switched off of the trains that they were pulling. And I was able, this is what I came up with, and we tried this in the recording, and I really couldn't get it figured out. But I went back in after I edited the last video, and I tooled around with this stuff a little bit, and it's probably not perfect, but it's pretty close to being good enough. So I put this switch in, and I ran, like I'd planned to do, a sideline over here to another yard in the main body of the loop. Now I went ahead and also put in a turntable so those larger locomotives could get turned back around and start the journey back down the mountain. Now the ones that are just going from the valley on up to the smelter, they won't need to stop in here to turn themselves around, even if they um, have to switch out parts of their consist. They'll just come in here, sit, and leave. They'll back it back out. It is still in the works. That's still kind of the plan to uh, finish this off. I'm going to be putting a little bit of signage in, probably some more set decoration, but that'll all come later. It'll probably happen off camera. Uh, with this being the third attempt at recording this video, like I said, my days get pretty busy, and today was no different. Uh, this being the third attempt at recording this video, I did find out that this switch, which I did not notice this before, is clipping through. It's a little bit too high for the ballast to render in the rest of the way. So that's not going to work. So we're just going to go ahead and get rid of that right now. And we're actually going to run two lines around this hill until we get to a point um, where we can switch them back into one line, or we may just end up running two lines further up the rest of the way up the hill, so that we have a longer run up for locomotives to park their trains for the journey down the hill. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to take out one more section of track because we're actually going to need it to start to curve. And I'm going to go in with my 5-meter ballast, and we're going to go into precision mode, and we're going to start working our way up the hill. Now we're going to try and keep this at a fairly shallow grade of 1%. We don't want the trains waiting on this hill to just run away. But you can start to see we would normally run into just a little bit of a problem otherwise. But as it stands, if we stick with the 60-meter radius, we'll be able to make some distance here. But we're going to keep it at a 1% grade. We're going to come back to, we'll go to right about there. I'm going to get rid of these little saplings before they become an issue. Whoops, I didn't mean to do that one. Come on. There we go. And I guess we're just going to have to get rid of all of them. Not really the plan, but it is what it is. Now, like I said, this being the third recording attempt at recording this episode, I kind of already know what to expect for this portion of the line. So I'm just going to go ahead and go through it real quick. And we're going to be building both of these lines at roughly about the same time. I just want to make absolute sure that everything is right and we don't have any major problems in the realm of like clipping or things like that. So you can see we went from 80 to 70 on the radius, and we kind of got away from that. Anyway, sorry, I ended up sneezing my fool head off. We got some bad air here today. Very heavy for allergies. But what I was going to say is we went from 80 to 70, and we lost our matchup. So we're gonna do this outside. What's right now the inside line on the left here. We're gonna end up doing this in smaller chunks, just to kind of keep everything more or less close together. Because when you've got these large gaps, they really don't look too good. Now right here, you can kind of start to see why. So that's not too bad of a radius right there. But you can see that it's just a little bit too far away from the other line that we just put in. So we're going to try and remedy that. Now, we've got a 1% grade going on here. That's not what I wanted. Let's go with the 5-meter. We've got a 1% grade going on here, so we need to keep that. And we've got to do this in little bits. Because if we don't, it will go too far or too near where we're trying to reach. So that may be just a little bit too near. So we'll see. So we'll go back in, do it again. And truthfully, I'm about half tempted. Yeah, that'll be all right there, I think. That's probably exactly the same as what we had a minute ago. uh, but yeah, I'm gonna try to keep these as close as possible. And as it starts to get dark here, I'll cut, but I'm gonna try and figure on what I'm doing here. So I will go ahead and cut now, and we will start again when it gets light out. Alrighty, we are back. It's still a little bit before we have enough light to really see what we're doing. Um, but I'm still working on trying to get this turn or this line done up in such a way as that it looks, a little, it looks halfway decent. And it may come down to just needing to not really be too terribly concerned with how it looks, but it's really, just kind of six of one, half dozen of the other with this, because there's no real easy way to get it to match up right off. So we'll come over here. We're going to try 120 for this little bit here. Go to right there. Bring it around. And to right about there. Let's go right about there. Now we're going to have to, we have to do this particular section in smaller chunks, just to keep it somewhat just to keep it somewhat, dang it, um, even with the rest of the line here. And because these are not on the same level, just to begin with, it's already going to be more difficult. So let's do that. Mess around. We're going to try and do, let's do that. Let's do 90. Try again here. And yeah. So let's see how that looks. All right, so that's going to look okay. We actually need to take that out, start our climb back up, so that'll be okay. That'll be easy enough to do. So we'll go back in with that. Now we're going to bring our trestle back in and see if anything there matches up. It should, but, you know. Oh, it's close enough. That works. Okay, see, that's the issue that we're going to run into if we try to run long stretches of track. So we've actually got to do this just to keep everything more or less even. We've got to we've actually got to feather this radius in smaller sections to keep it from overlapping, as well as to match up the actual heights of the rails. Because ultimately our goal, that's not what I wanted to do. How did that happen? Ultimately, our goal is to create a side-by-side line here that is more or less even with, yeah, that's close enough. That's more or less even in terms of elevation. We want to make this as easy as possible on not only the locomotives but on the building process as a whole. So let's go, actually, let's go in with our wall. See how far we can get with that. We're going to keep our 1% grade here. We're actually going to straighten it up a little. Okay, so I'm actually going to come up to about here, right about here with our trestle. So I'm going to go ahead and try that again here. So let's go ahead and link it in and bring it around. Let's put our grade in. And we're going to go to right about there with our trestle. We're going to come back to our wall now. Well, that was a mistake. Put our 1% back in. Camera, cooperate. It just doesn't like to cooperate. So I want to see where we actually need to be on this. Okay, so we want to be right about where that little tree is. So we're going to do that, and then we're going to get rid of the little tree so that we can come back in on the other line and do more or less the same thing. Now, because we're on the inside there, it's going to be a little bit different, and we've got to feather in the radius. So we're just going to keep working our way up this hill here. And any time that we see it start to diverge or conversely start to cut into, we're going to go ahead and just stop where we're at. So we're actually getting a little bit too close, but we'll make that happen. We'll leave that as is because we're going to be getting a little bit too far away if we leave it where it's at. But we'll just go back and forth between 60 and 70, and we'll keep it roughly about the same distance. 50 and 50 and we'll go between 50 and 70 for quite a ways. We'll just keep it from getting too far out of hand. So yeah, that'll be all right. Right about there. So it doesn't look like it doesn't look too bad to begin with. It's just kind of matching everything up. So let's see. Can we go back in with the wall yet? And the answer would be a resounding yes. Okay. So let's see what we can do. Let's get it put. Hey, how about that? We can actually run a straight piece all the way over to here. So we're going to go right through that tree. And we're going to stop right about there. And I'll be surprised if I remember to put my gradient in. So let's do this. Now right here we can run just about side by side, but you see we're just a little bit too close. Yeah, I did remember to put the gradient in. So what we're going to have to do, because we're just a touch too close now, is I want the center line here. You see where the uh, two walls are. I actually want that to look like one piece. So we're going to go in and we're going to redo this quite a bit because we actually did end up getting way too close. And we're going to see if we can't bring it out to where it needs to be. Yeah. And like I said, we gotta feather this radius so that it works right as we, right the way we want it to. And I think that might be pretty close, but we can always fix both the radius and the elevation. So it's pretty close. I'm not going to worry too much about that. We did pretty well as much as we could. We're just going to try and keep it uh, within reason. Even though I would personally like to have it be absolutely there, it's not really that big of a deal. Uh, because we can always adjust things as we need to. Now we're going to come back down before this gets too high up to our 1%. And we're going to straighten this back out a little as we go. Because we actually ultimately want this to be, whoops, the right distance. And it'll look better in the long run. And sometimes with this kind of thing, looking good is synonymous with functioning well. And with this, in specific with these walls, if you get too far over to one side or the other, it's gonna really hurt the performance of the locomotives. They may derail, they may catch, what have you. So we're pretty close here. There's a little bit of a discrepancy over here. We had to make things work a little bit differently for this, but overall I think it's going to work just fine. So we're going to go back to this other line here, and we're going to continue on with the wall, and we're going to try and wrap it around this hill. We're going to put our 1% grade back in, and truthfully we don't really need to wrap it all the way around the hill. We're actually going to shoot for this little plateau right here where the crosshairs are. We're going to shoot for that. So let's go ahead and put that right about there. And let's see what the steel girder or steel trestle will look like. So let's go ahead and put that there. There's actually a gap in the trees. I think we should aim for that. Okay. So let's bring it back to right about here. I have to, let's see how far over we need to get. That'll work right about there. And then we'll wrap it around the other direction. Uh-oh. Well, that didn't work out quite the way I thought it would. Huh. Well, we're not gonna put too much of an extra grade on that. We're gonna be running long trains up this hill, so we don't want a massively steep grade. So we're just going to go back in with the regular trestle for now. And we're actually just going to go straight for a minute. Yeah, let's just go straight for a minute. See where we end up. We'll just make our own little clearing here in these trees. Let's see. Okay, that should wind us up pretty well over there. So let's go ahead and put that in right about there. And as much as I'd like to believe that that's representative of a road. Let's not do that. Let's go ahead and make believe that is a road here. And we'll put that in probably to right about, oh, dang it. Really want to do straight on like that. So let's put it right about, oh, let's go right about there. You see, we're starting to get a little bit taller here, so we're going to go back in with our wall. Now, doing this is not entirely necessary. We can put the steel girder bridge, the overpass type deal. We could put that. We can attach that right directly to any piece of track that we want. But for sake of this, for the sake of the aesthetics in this, we're going to make it look decent. We're going to put that bridge abutment right there, and let's see where we get here. We're going to do a boring old gray. Now this is going to take out all of our elevation, and that looks like, oh, I almost said what I thought it looked like, but it looked pretty bad. Okay, so I think we're just not going to care that that's a road. So let's come around. Let's keep our radius going over here. See how far over we can get. We don't want 40. So let's do 60. Go up like that, and we're going to start coming back around. But we're going to work our way around this direction because we're going to bury ourselves in the hillside here pretty quick. 60. And it should, yep, that's what I was afraid of. So we'll do 50. And we'll just come over to right about there. Okay, so we're going to go back and do roughly the same thing on the other line. Yeah, this is, I want to try and stay off of that 30-meter radius as much as possible. So you can see the short steps that we're having to take in order to keep this fairly close by. But it is what it is. So let's see what we can do. Camera. About putting the switch in right over here. I don't think it's going to work. May end up having to go a little bit further. And it kind of looks like that's what we're going to have to do. So, yeah, that's going to be what we're going to have to do. So let's go in with our wall again. And we're going to continue on with our gradient. And we're going to do a 200-meter radius right there. That's not going to cause too much of an issue with the track and derailing. We're going to wrap ourselves back around over here. See, ultimately our goal is to get up the hill, but we're going to take as much of this valley as we need to. And if absolutely necessary, we can run a loop like we did on the switchbacks. We can run a loop around here to come back over top and continue on up. So let's see what we can do here. So we are right there at the edge. Let's go ahead and put that in. While we've got the wall here, we can make everything match back up over here. It'll at least look a little better if we make that happen. As you see, we're just a bit too close here. Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and make that happen here real quick. Alrighty, while it was dark out, I went ahead and finished up bringing that other line back around. I went ahead and fixed it back up. It's still, it's not absolutely perfect, but it'll work. And by the time we get over here, it looks like it's supposed to. So we're going to go ahead and try and work ourselves back around to another flat spot where we can put that switch in. So we're going to go ahead and get back in with the trestle. And we're going to come over here with a 1% grade. Let's see how close we can get here. We're going to go right about there. And then we're going to come back around the opposite direction. And that should bring us right over to this plateau here. And it does. And that'll be a great spot to put that. That'll be a great spot to put that switch in. So we're going to do that. I'm going to put that right there. And I'm going to go in with a 1 meter ballast. And we're going to level this off here. And straighten it up. And that will be where we put our switch if it does not clip through. So let's go ahead and see if it will clip through. We're going to go in with a right hand switch with a left hand throw. Let's see what that looks like. And it clips. Okay, so we're actually going to move it back just a little bit. That's not a big deal. That is not too big of a deal because we can make that happen. So let's go back in with our trestle here. Carry on with the 1% instead of trying to up it to 1.5 for the sake of this hill here. And that'll get us probably about where we need to be. Yeah. So we're going to bring it right back to about here. And we're going to put 1 meter ballast in again. Whoops. We're just going to keep on, keep on with this curve to right about here. Yeah. We're going to go to right about here. Now let's try that switch again. So we're actually going to go with the same one, right hand switch with a left hand throw. And we're going to see if that clips anywhere. And it does. Boy, that looks like garbage, doesn't it? Now we got to figure out how to get it out of here. There we go. All right. Now go back in with our right hand, and see what it looks like. Now, it's not clipping over there, but wouldn't you know it, it's clipping over here. Lovely. All right, well, I guess we're not going in with the switch right there. Dang it. Okay, so we're going to take that out. We're going to take that out, and we're going to go in with our 5 meter, and we're going to do 140, and we're going to put our grade all the way back in. We're just going to come around. We're actually not even going to worry about it. I'm not going to fight this any more than I have to. So there you have it. I'm just not going to fight it. So we're back to that. And we're going to go back in with our trestle and we're going to build up to that. We're going to even this back up. Go right there. Ta-da. Now we're making a little bit of progress. And it doesn't look like we're going to get a good run for the switch. We're not gonna get a good enough run of straight track for that switch. So it looks like there is a potential that, and it wouldn't bother me at all to see this happen, but it looks like there's a potential that we are going to be using the loop here at the yard as our staging area for the trains going back downhill, as well as for bringing the loaded trains from the ore mine up to the smelter. So now that these are done, we're going to go ahead and start taking out trees where we need to. It's probably going to be a fair few of them. Or maybe only two. I don't know. It just depends on what's down here. Oh, that grass. It looked like a tree, but it was just grass. Okay. Let's come back over here. Yep, that looks like it was it. So, and like I said, when I was trying to do that switch, I want to have a little bit of a run up of ballasted track because this ridge here will actually derail the locomotives as best I can figure. So we're actually kind of damned if we do, damned if we don't, for putting a switch in. Because it's either going to clip through or clip out of the map, or it's going to derail if we try to do anything else. So we're going to continue on with our wall here, and we're going to go ahead and leave our grade in. And we're going to try and hug this we're going to try and hug this little hillside here. Because we're actually getting to a point where we're going to need to put in a decent sized bridge. So that should be good right about there. Yeah, that won't derail anything. That's just grass. Okay. And I think it's looking like we're going to end up doing a loop of sorts. And if that's the case, I might bring the elevation down a little bit, and we might go up through this little gully here at a 2. Well, we might bring the elevation down a little bit fairly quickly and do a 2% back up. It just depends on where it all lands. So I'm actually going to redo this piece right here and this piece, and we're going to keep on straight actually. So let's put that back in and just go straight. I went too far. Yep, there we go. There we go. Okay. So that'll be all right. That's not too much of a too much of a thing there, and it gets real deep really quickly. So we'll go to right about there. And we're going to do the same on this side, and we're going to see about matching everything up. Now, there's a pretty good chance that it'll be all right, but I know this game well enough to suspect that it won't be. And it's just barely not right. So let's go back to where it is right, which is right about here. And we will make it right. About halfway, looks like. So we'll go ahead and put that in right there. And you're not even really going to see that little bit of a curve. You're not even really going to see that in the map, or when you're running the trains. But it will make quite the difference in the long run. Let's put that right there. And we'll come back up here. And we'll make it right. There we go. Now, it kind of sucks that we couldn't condense this down into one line at any point, because that's a good long straight run. And now we've got to figure out how we can put in a loop in order to get up here to where we can switch it down. And we don't just have to do it once, we've got to do it twice. So we're going to go in here, we're going to start removing these rocks because they don't need to be there. And I think we'll be okay with just that one. But we're going to go in with our steel trestle bridge, and we're going to level off. We're going to bring this around. We're going to do a pretty sharp angle here, probably 80 meter. And we're going to come over here, right there, and we're going to put in our steel truss that we were trying to do before. Now that right there will allow us to not have to put in so much of a downhill slope to get back around. But if things work out, and I'm not saying they will, but if they work out the way that I hope that they do, that will be just enough clearance to get the locomotive and rolling stock underneath. So we're going to go ahead and do that again with this other line. We've got the angle that we want, we've got the height that we want, and the curvature that we want. So let's go ahead and make that right. Dang it, camera, cooperate with me. Right there, I think. Yeah, I think that's going to be right. It'll probably be wrong, but you know, 6 of one, half dozen of the other. Hey, looky there, and it's right. Okay. So this is what I was saying about things clipping through in weird ways. And it's not exactly 100% perfect either, but it's so close that it really doesn't matter. Those are so close that it's never going to be noticeable unless you're right down on top of it. So that looks good right there. Now let's get the... Oh, this is going to be fun. Let's go ahead and get the loop put in. The last time I tried to make a loop, it was not in any way, shape, or form easy to make work. So we're going to come around here. Oh boy, here we go again. Yep, that's what I was afraid of. All that work. All that work, and we can't do it. Now back to the drawing board. All that work. Story of my life, guys. Okay, when it gets light out, I will come back and we'll try this again. All right, we are back. I was thinking in the break there that we can still make a loop work, but we're going to have to do it like we did with the switchbacks, in that we're just going to have to use the steel truss bridge here, because the um, the actual trestles aren't going to be conducive of allowing us the curvature that we need to make right off the bat. Which, you know, that's not such a bad thing. It'll allow us the ability to plan for going around like that. Uh, it'll allow us the ability to basically curve around to where we need the track to be. And in fact, we may actually, instead of going down, we may actually be able to go up and over. So let's see how that'll work. If we can do that, that'll be even better. So let's come in here. We'll probably have to do a little bit steeper of a climb, but I'm not too concerned with that. It's the continuous nature of the climb itself. If we were to just, you know, go with a 2% this whole way, we wouldn't be going very far very fast. So we're going to keep on with the 1% grade until we get to such a point as we can put in, say, a 2 or a 1.5 or percent grade versus putting in, you know, just a 1% or having to drop back down. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to keep these matched up as best we can. And the reason I'm not going back in with the trestle right here, the wooden trestle, is basically because we're going to be going fairly deep, and it wouldn't look quite as nice. I mean, we probably could here, but a little variety does lend itself quite well uh, to the aesthetics. So we're going to go right here. Then we're going to start back around. Now I could put in a very small section of straight track. That would be probably better, but we come around pretty sharp to begin with. So let's just keep on around here. These don't really matter so much because they're going to end up roughly in the same spot. But I do want to keep them roughly the same. So we're going to go ahead and put in that straight track. I know, I'm kind of all over the place. I've got so much. I hate to make excuses, but I really do have so much on my mind right now. Tomorrow I'm going to be going over to my mom's and building a staircase so that my father can get in and out of the computer room, which is actually what used to be a garage, just a little bit easier. I mean, I've had trouble getting up and down that dang step, and it's only two steps, but you'd be amazed how difficult it is to get up two steps when they're a foot and a half tall. And the normal step for anything is, 6 to 8, maybe a foot. And this is almost double that. It's not as easy as it used to be, and I've had trouble my entire life getting up and down that step. I remember when I was a little kid, going up and down that step, I would have to go, I would have to actually sit down and go up and down that step. I'd have to sit on the top step to get up or down. And as I got older, I'd have to go sideways or some stupid way to get up and down. It was not an easy step. And the older I get, the older my parents get, of course, and they have a hard enough time getting around in some situations as well. And anything that can make their lives a little bit easier, anything that can make mine a little easier, is just a little bit of oh, how about that? I put in a wood trestle. Oh well, we'll put in the bright one here. Oops. There. I do everything again now because the game let me fat finger something. So, oh well. Uh, yeah, anything that can make their lives just a little bit easier, anything that can make mine a little easier, it's worth doing for the plain and simple fact that uh, it's something that needed to be done anyway. So I've got that on my mind. I've got other things on my mind. The contract that I've got to finish is getting ready to come up here in a couple of days, so I've got to do that Tuesday or Wednesday while the weather's nice out. Uh, and then I got to start thinking about gaining some ground on my property, which is far easier said than done. Because over the summer we lost a metric ton of uh, foliage. Dang it. Did that. I didn't even stop and think that I'm putting in the wrong thing. Gotta love it when I do that. Not even paying attention to what I'm doing versus what I'm saying. So yeah, I've just got a lot of whoops. I've got a lot of things going on right now that I've got to actually make time for these games. And speaking of making time for these games, the final bit of the sim rig kit that I've got, or that I bought for ATS finally came in. It's not the final piece forever. It's a piece that I've got until I can upgrade type deal. It finally came in today, and I got it. I got the settings all adjusted, and everything's working good. So probably next week I'm gonna start recording videos for that. And just a heads up on those, they're gonna be a video per delivery. One or two video or one or two loads delivered for every video, and that's going to be pretty much it. That one may be the that may be the series that goes on live stream more often if I decide to do live stream after all. But for now, I am just about ready to start recording on that. Okay, so we're halfway around there. Looks like we've got a little bit of a... I think I had a 1.5 in there. Now I've got a 1. That's all right. That's no big deal. We're going to start wrapping it back around, and then we're going to come out over this area right here, or over this lower portion here, unless we can wrap it around that part of the mountain and come up. Yeah, that'd probably be the thing to do. That'll give us a little bit more height. We can actually increase the grade. But what I would like to do is get that dang switch put in. But that's really not too big of a deal. So you can see we're about halfway to getting up the mountain. And this is a pretty steady grade. So we'll see what comes of it. We'll see we'll see where we get. Okay, let's work our way back over the opposite direction. Oh, that would help if I didn't waste time there. I was wondering why it was moving so slow. Okay, we may actually go in with yeah, we may actually go in with the trestle again for right now. Yeah, because yeah. And it just buries itself. So we're going to go back in with the trestle for a minute. And we're going to do right about there. And then we'll come back around the other side, the other direction. See if we can't give it a little bit of a boost here, just in a short amount of space. Make our gradient a little steeper for just a short amount of time. And that should get us just enough. And I'm going to cancel that out. I think what I'm going to do is put that in right there, and that's going to be where our switch is. Hopefully that's going to be where our switch is. I'm getting tired of saying that it will be. Dang it. I need to be a little bit closer in order to get that, but I'll make it work. There we go. Yeah. That's going to be close, but we'll make that happen. So we're going to come up to right about here. And we're going to put in some 1 meter ballast. We're just going to keep on that same curvature. We're going to bring it down. Yeah, we'll bring it down to right about there. Okay. We're actually going to bring that in just a little bit. Okay, so let's see if we can't put our switch here. Right hand, like before. And ta-da. Nope, we can't. Okay. Needs to come in just a touch more, but I think I know where I can do that. Right hand. One more time for posterity. How about that? Now, if we're lucky, we can get that grade put in, and we can get a good radius put in before, and we can. Just like that. All right, so we're going to do that. We're going to bring this down to 1 track. We're going to start from this side. See where we need to be in terms of our height. I think it's 2% the whole way. And it looks like it is. Okay. So we're going to come to right about there. We're going to give ourselves a little bit of a straight portion here. A straighter portion here. Right there. Right there. And we're going to keep coming around. We are not going to be doing switchbacks. All this is just bringing this down to one uh, one line. That's all this is doing. So we actually want to come up to right about there. Go in with our 1 meter ballast. Oh, what's going on here? I'm too high. Yep. Okay, so it was not 2% the whole way. I need to bring that lower. So it was 1. It was 1 and then 1 or 1.5 and then 2. So let's see if we can't do this right here. We'll start it with 1. See if it works. We'll go to right about there. That'll give us enough time. Yeah, it was 1. Okay. And we'll put that straight section in. Straighter section, I should say, because it definitely does not need to be straight. Not totally. Go right there. And we can come around. I think, yeah, there we go. Okay, it's going to be 2. We'll give it a short run up. We'll go right there. Go right there. Getting a little bit close, but that's all right. It's going to widen right back out. And we want it right there. Actually, we want it just right. If I can get it to line up just right, we want it right there. And that will be close enough for what we're doing. We can go back in with our 1 meter ballast and connect it in. And that's not too terrible of a curve. I think we might actually have to bring that in a little bit. I think it'll be all right. I have them take it slow, but I think it'll be all right. We'll go ahead and fix it though. So let's go in. Wooden trestle. Give our gradient back. We'll stop it right about there. Well, let's come back here. And now we'll go back in with our ballast track. If it'll let us. Nope. Okay. 5 meter. 5 meter ballast. There we go. And we'll just go ahead and connect it in. Now that's a lot smoother of a grade. Or of a radius. So we've got our 2 lines. We are back down to 1 line of track. That's fantastic. Now we can work our way around this mountain and up to the smelter. If we can figure out where we want to go. We go ahead and keep on with the ballast track here. We're going to keep on with our 2% camera. Keep on with our 2% grade till we get to right about here. We're going to take this rock out because it'll get buried here in a minute. And we're actually going to go in with a wall before we go in with a bridge. So let's do that. And we're going to come around to about here. And we're going to open up this, we are going to open up this radius a little bit. Because it's going to be a long run up. And we actually don't need 2%. We can do 1% now. So let's do that. And we're going to loop it around, and we're going to try and cross over at a respectable point. So we're gonna go right to about here. And the reason we're doing this instead of going around is, just to keep it a little bit more compact for right now. We're going to see how this works out, and if I don't like how it looks by the end of it, I'll do something else. So we can go right to about there. I'm really not too sure that I like this already, but we'll see how it looks. And we'll put in our trestle bridge, or our truss bridge here. That may not be close enough. So let's try this one again. There we go. Put our steel truss back in. Put 1% grade. And we want to go right to about here. Yeah, right there. Okay. That should be close enough. That will cancel out our grade, and it will be long enough, just long enough. Okay. So let's go back in with our steel truss bridge. Put that in. Let's see, where is it going to put us? We are still well above the height of the terrain here. So we can actually go a little bit further this way and lower ourselves down fairways. So we're going to go ahead and do that. Put in 120, and we're going to bring it down 2%. And that actually doesn't look too bad. I think we're going to go ahead and keep that. I think that'll be just fine. But we're going to go ahead and delete that. We're going to put in a bridge abutment. Oops. We're going to put in a bridge abutment a little bit closer to the actual truss. So let's go right about there, and we'll do the bridge abutment right here. We actually needed to, that'll be all right. Why don't we go ahead and do that then? We need to bring that gradient down a bit. Whoops, wrong one. So steel trestle, and it's getting dark out, so we're probably only going to get this finished before we do anything else. And we'll bring it right to about there. Okay. When it gets light out, I will be back, and we'll continue on. But this finally looks like it's starting to work, so we'll see what happens. Okay, we're back. I'm going back in with the bridge abutment here, the wall essentially, and it's really not going to be that much. It's not going to be that far. We're still going down at a pretty decent grade, but we're not going to make it too very large. We're going to swap back over to our wooden trestle because the underside of the steel trestle, if I can get down to it, actually comes in right a little bit too close, and we can get a lot closer with the wooden trestle. Uh, so right now it's still a little dark out, but we're gonna get there. We're gonna get there in the end. Now there we go. Now we can see a little bit better. And we're gonna come over here, and we're just gonna try and get as close to this hillside as we can. And we're going to try and level off because our goal is to put in another switch so we can widen this back out to 2 tracks for a short ways. And the reason we want to do that is because uh, we do need a passing line. That one area with the bridge is quite long for just having one line. So we want to put a short passing line in here for trains that are waiting to go on this bridge. And that's sort of the reason I put it over here, along with this switch over here originally that I had tried to go in with. But I think it'll be all right the way it is. So we're going to continue on. I'm going to get rid of that tree now that I'm sure we're done over here. I think that's the only one we need to remove. Yeah, looks like it is. So we're getting there on that. We're about halfway up the hill, so we're going to need to make one more crossover on our way back up. But we're going to try and make that happen in fairly short order. This may be like a double figure 8. So once we get these 2 lines started, we're gonna come around over here and then come back around. What I plan to do is have the gravity line come down this gully, or bring it up the hill a little ways over to here and then have it go down. But that remains to be seen. So we're going to err on the side of caution. We're going to try and avoid this area right here so that we have a little bit of clearance, that we can bring the gravity line down to here if we need to. But that remains to be seen yet. So we'll see what happens. Now, we're going to go ahead and start putting in this double line here, and we're going to go in with our 1 meter ballast, and we're going to kind of even this out, or make that a little higher there, and we're going to just give it a little bit. We're going to have to go in with trestle here very quickly thereafter, because even with the 1% grade, it's already too high up for the 1 meter ballast, and I don't particularly care for the 5 meter ballast on what is otherwise level ground. So we're gonna try and hug this hill like we did with the like we did with the switchbacks. We're going to try and hug that hill and go in with the wall in very short order. I've just got to make it to where it will go in correctly the way the way it needs to. So we're going to bring it to right about here. We're actually going to give ourselves a little bit steeper of a climb so that we can uh, cross back over in short order. Now this climb is not going to stay here. We're actually what I'm planning is having the double track cross right about here, right just before this switch. So it's going to be the two double track come and cross over right about here, and then it's going to go on up the hill to the next area that we can put a switch in, which is I'm going to try and get it right over here, and then we're going to come back around this hill and continue on. But we'll see how that works. But from here on, it's going to be a pretty steep climb of 2% or thereabouts. So we're going to go ahead and build in this wall here. I think it'll be okay right about there. Let's see. Yeah, that'll be all right. Okay. And we're going to build this line until we get around to the next set of trestle. Which will probably be this area right here. Yeah, that's going to end up being that right there. So we'll put that in real quick, and we'll go back and bring the other one level with us. Yeah. So it's going to be right there. All right. So let's go over here, back over here, and bring in this trestle here. We want to go back in with our retaining wall here. That's not what I wanted to do. Go back in with our retaining wall and bring this around. Be a fairly sharp curve, but I think we can manage it. And we're actually going to start our way back around. Yeah, that'll be fine. We're going to start our way back around so that we can avoid that area. I'm going to put my trestle in, and we're going to carry on. So, right to there. Come on, camera. There we go. And I think our tightest radius curve is going to be 40. So that'll be fine. Huh. Or how I manage that. That's interesting. I wonder if I forgot to put the gradient on that. I probably did. Yep, I did. Okay. So we're just going to keep on with that. I think this was 60. If it wasn't before, it's probably going to be now. Now it's going to stay 50. But we're going to leave it there. We're going to redo that. Redo that one. Put our gradient back in. Yeah. Okay. So we want to put it right about there. And we're going to feather it back out. Just like that. Okay. That works. Perfect. Okay. Now, we are going to go in with a wooden trestle. We're just going to come right back around. And we're going to try and match it up so that we cross over, right over that, just before that switch. But if it ends up being that we can actually tighten it up, that's what we're going to do. We're going to try and tighten it up there. So we're actually going to do our inner line before we do anything else. And we're going to bring it around just like this. We're just going to go all the way as far as we can and continue on. And we're going to match up that outer line with this. We're gonna match it up with this. So we're not going to worry too much about where this is at right now. Okay, it looks like we're going to actually be able to cross back over before we get to the switch, and it's gonna look halfway decent. So, thinking, since we've made that much progress in that short amount of time, we're going to go ahead and level it off a little bit because we're getting to the point where this may be a little bit too high. See what we need to do to get over here. Yeah, okay. So what we're going to do is we're going to go in, instead of with the wooden trestle, which I'm just putting here now to show what we're doing, we're going to go in with the steel truss like we did before, and we're going to try and put in that uh, steel trestle overpass deal like what we did before. So I'm trying to avoid switchbacks on this part of the line for the fact that the trains that are coming up and down here are going to be massive. We're talking 20, 30 cars long at the most. So we want our steel trestle. We're going to come around, I hope. And we're going to give it a 2%. 70 meter radius, just as far as we can. We're going to carry on as far as we can. And we're going to keep doing that until we can't anymore. So it's actually looking like right about there. And then we straighten off. Dang it. We straighten off. I've got to manage to connect it. And we can go back down to 1%. So let's go ahead and straighten it. Perfect. And that should give us just enough. Well, it may not. Dang it. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to do this. 700. We're going to see where we end up. 500, see where we end up. That'll give us plenty of room to wrap it around, but we're going to go 380. We're going to do that. That'll give us enough room. Well, it's probably going to end up being that anyway. Okay. 260, 250, 240. Let's go ahead and figure that. So we want it right. Let's go ahead and just level it off right there. That should be awful plenty high. Yeah, that's going to be plenty high for any locomotive to pass under. So we really didn't even need 2%. So let's go back. We're going to do all this again. We're going to lower it down to 1.5, I think. And the reason we're going to do that is just to make it a little easier to climb the grade on the upside. Bring it back around. Now we want as little elevation change as we can get away with, while at the same time being, giving enough clearance, giving as much clearance as we can. So let's see, right about there. That should give us our clearance, and yeah, that'll give us our clearance, I think. If not, it'll be pretty close. Yeah, that'll be okay. So we'll go in with our steel truss like we had before. I'll go ahead and just tie that in right there. And wouldn't you know it, it's not long enough. Dang it. Okay. So we've actually got to come in at a steeper angle. But that's all right. We can make that happen. We'll actually give ourselves a little bit more clearance. We'll take it up to a 1.5. And we'll go right there. 1.5. 20. And we'll go right there. Oh, that's not gonna work. It cuts in. Okay. So we'll come back around. Do it again. Do it again. Well, I suppose that'll work. Yeah, that'll work. It doesn't look the greatest, but we'll make it. It'll work. Think that should clear both sides. Hopefully it does. If not, I'll have to figure something out. Probably make it a little wider. Okay, so we're going to come back over here and we're going to do this side now, just to make sure that everything works the way it should. Keep our 1% for right now. 70 before, yeah, 70 before, so we should be fairly close to that now. Get our height so we can actually see what we're doing. Looks like 80, and we're going to just have to feather it in, but this is going to be a wider curve. So we can go right about there. And we're gonna, whoops, let's go just past the tree. We're gonna have to feather it back in. Okay. So 70, 70, right about there. 80, 90, 70. Yeah. Okay, we're just gonna keep on with the 70 for just a short amount of time. So, yeah, right there. Carry on. And do 60 to right there. Okay. So what I'm trying to do with these shorter spans is just kind of keep everything matched up. But I understand that that's not gonna happen the whole way around. See, it's already kind of widening out a little bit too much. So we're going to come back to about here. And we're going to put our trestle in a little bit closer. We're going to go right about there for a little bit tighter of a radius, and then we're going to feather it back out so that it actually works. And it's going to be another short span there. We can feather it back in to right about there. Okay. So we're making progress here. And the sun's getting ready to go back down again, so we're going to have to cut again. But before we do that, I'm going to put another few spans in, hopefully in short order. And right about there. Okay. And we're getting pretty close to that point where we need to have a 1.5% grade, so that'll be done up here soon. It's going to get kind of hard to see where we're at with these trees, but that's not a big deal. We got to feather it back out so that it's actually right. Got to keep on with the width here because we're going to have another one of those trusses. And hopefully we can get it to clear the track below it before I come back in with another span of the trestle here. So now we're back up to we're right up to the 1.5% grade. So let's go ahead and bring our line around. We're going to see if we can't match it up. Just doing this. Nope. Okay. So we're going to come over about here. We're going to make this a little bit narrower, or a little bit tighter, I should say. Just about like that. And it's going to go to right about there. And I think we're actually going to and do right about here and see how that will work. I think it might be too tight, so yeah, it's going to be too tight. So let's see. Let's get our trestle bridge back here. Bring it back up. And as the sun goes down, I may or may not get this piece put in correctly. We'll see. But we'll probably, yeah, it's too close again. And I don't think it's going to clear. Dang it. Come on, camera. Oh, it just barely clears. I think that's going to be too close, though. All right, we will get back to this. We'll try something else when the sun comes back up. It looks like we're going to have to redo this whole thing again. So we will do that. And I will get back with you when it gets light out. All right, so we are back, and I'm going to have to go ahead and do this whole thing again. I got to thinking about it, and it's not going to work the way I wanted it to. So we're going to go back in roughly about the same way that we did before. 70, bring it around. Yeah, we just have to make it a little bit tighter. It's no big deal. 70 meters as far as we can get it. And I did the wrong bridge, so there we go. And we are back. I don't know how much time I'm going to have to build because that storm lasted a little bit longer than I'd wanted it to, but we'll see what happens here. So we're going to continue on with what is right now the inner line of the loop. It's soon to become the outer line. We're going to go ahead and continue on with it and bring it around to where we can get our we can get our bridge built in such a way as to allow us to A, put in our truss bridge, and B, continue on around up the hill. So let's go ahead and try and fit our truss bridge here. And it looks like it will clear, but only barely. We may need to bring this in or bring this out just a little bit further. Oh, yeah, we'll see what this does. It may be just a tad too close. I think it is. So we'll go ahead and damn it. There we go. Yeah. Isn't that nice? That copy paste tool is about friggin' useless. Puts it wherever it wants to put it. There's probably a piece somewhere hiding around here somewhere that I don't see. Well, we're gonna try that again, and we're gonna see what we get. If I can get connected through these trees. There we go. So we're still at 1% grade. I think we've made enough height over this that it can be done fairly easy. Let's do 100, 110. We're going to come in just as close as we can get it. Right to about there. Ah, dang it. I need to get the outer portion of this bridge as close as I can without cutting in. And I know it really doesn't matter to you guys watching it or watching me put this in. I imagine you like seeing me struggle a little bit more than I like struggling to get this done. But in the end, oh, perfect, beautiful. Okay. In the end, it makes a lot of difference to be able to put this stuff in and actually get it to work, because we need the clearance on, or we need to get it as close as we can on this side here, because we're going to have virtually no clearance over here. So let's see. Let's see if we can manage to make this curve. We should be able to. Yeah, we can. Okay, so we're just going to go ahead. We're going to give it a 1.5, and we're going to call that good right there. So we're going to try and get that. Oh, I could leave that rock there. It's not going to matter. And that's as little clearance as we can manage, I think. Yeah, I think that's about as far as we can manage in terms of clearance. Anything lower than that, and um, I imagine it will clip through the smokestacks on the locomotives. So let's go in and do this side now. Just have to make it work. We actually need a gap about like that. Put that there. Give ourselves a little bit more room here. Put this right here. And we're going to come right to here. Yeah. Did I put a grade in on either side of this? I don't know. Huh. I wonder how I managed that one. I'm actually going down on that side. Hmm. Well, I guess we got to do this again. Dang it. Here we go again. Right about there. That's close enough, I think. We'll see if it has the clearance. That's at least close enough to do that. It's actually too close to the other bridge. Yeah, it's a little too close to the other bridge for my liking, so we'll fix that here in a second. Yeah, that's what I was afraid of. All right. You know what? I am about tempted to just do a single line this whole way up because this is not, it's just not working. So running the outer one. What the hell with it? We're just going to do one line. Camera. It's going to do one line and that's going to be it. I've had enough of fighting this thing over and over and over again. Getting absolutely nowhere. We're just going to do one line and call it good. So maybe by the end of this video, we will be up at the plateau that we want to get to. So much for that switch. I'm not going to keep fighting it. Frustrated enough as it is. All right, now we can make this work now. Actually make it work in a fairly decent way now. I would have liked to have continued in with 2 lines over here, but oh well. Can't do it if we can't do it. That in. It's going to give us clearance. It's in till we're right about there. And I'm going to go back. We're just going to jump right into it. I didn't do anything. All I did was close my door and complain a little bit about the noise that was being made. So I'm going to go in. We're going to take it back down to a 1% grade, and we're just going to follow along this wall and or follow along this mountainside as we continue to climb up. So let's see where we end up. Oops. Yeah, there we go. All right, I want to go ahead and leave that right there. I'm going to get rid of this guy here. And we're going to continue on. We just need to follow the contour around a little ways. We're just going to keep on with a somewhat steady grade, I think. Yeah. That one spot might be a little bit close. Yeah, dang it. Copy paste tool. I want to demolish, not copy paste, demolish. So let's bring it in as close as we can. And we'll go right about there. That's a little better. And come around a little ways. Actually, let's go in with a trestle because it looks like there's a little bit of a dip there. So go in with a trestle right there to see. Right about here. And put our wall back in right there and continue on for a short way. Yeah, it's going to be a very short way. And we'll continue on up. And it looks like we're going to be able to go ahead and wrap it around the back side of the smelter. So we'll see. Camera. We'll see where we get. I've only got about 45 minutes of recording time left, so we're going to try and make this as quick as possible. Although I don't particularly see us getting all the way up this hill today. We'll get as far as we can. Why it has to be like that, I will never know. But we'll make it work. I can get the camera to cooperate and do it again. Ba-doo. Put it right about there. That'll work. In fact, we could bring that brick wall out, but I'm not going to. We're going to carry on over here with it, though. So we're going to do this. See if we can't get rid of that little notch there, at least a little ways. There, that works. And I think we're going to come back in with our wooden trestle and come back around. Yeah. And hopefully we can actually get around this hill enough, because it looks like we may end up burying ourselves here in fairly short order. Camera! Good God. Yeah, it looks like we're going to bury ourselves, so we may need to go around the other direction. Which is all right. That's not an issue. But we're not exactly going to hug this gully, or this wall here. We're going to just bring it around. And we're going to go right there and straighten it out a bit, or for a bit, as the case may be. And then come back the other way. There we go. Whoops, it's a little tight. Make that work. Yeah, right about there. Probably even shorten that up. Shorten that long stretch up. Put in a piece of retaining wall right there. So I think that's what we're going to do. Good. Back in with our wooden trestle and do it again. Straighten it up. Get the camera to cooperate. And do it again. All right, so it's right about there. Let's see if that'll work this time. 60, that's where it was. Yeah. We'll make that work. It'll just, I think, open up a little bit. Yeah. Right about there. Okay. So I guess we'll just keep on with this. Well, it should be all right there now. Let's do that. Forgot to put the height in. Dang it. There we go. Okay. Let's go right about there. Put our retaining wall in. Yeah. Can actually close up camera. Can actually close up that hill a little bit. And that, with any luck, should not cause a derailment, but we'll test that out. Hopefully it won't. If it does, I'll just come back in and fix it when I test it. That's not too big a deal. Irritating, but not too big a deal. So let's see. I don't want to have to do yet another loop. I think we've done enough of those on this stretch. So we're probably just going to come around this mountain and work our way around the backside to the smelter. Seems like the better thing to do here. It's going to bury itself. So we can do that. And bring it over here. And bring it back around. See where it ends up over here. Hey, look at that. We missed it just enough. All right, let's put that in right there. Bring that around. Getting a little bit tall here. I think that'll be okay. Let's see where we're at for this plateau. Hey, if that works out, we may run a dual track the rest of the way over there. And again, maybe not. Go up 2%. See where we end up. Because I do not really want to have to go any longer than necessary. That's just going to bury itself. Dang it. Why do you have to be right on top of this thing to delete it? I don't get that. You would think if the cursor was on it, it would delete it. But you got to be within spitting distance, apparently, to do anything. All right. So 2.5. Bring it out a little ways. It's going to be a bit of a steeper grade, but we'll make it happen. I wish it would cooperate with me just a little bit more. Okay. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to give it a short stint on ballasted track, just because we are right there anyway. And we're going to start going the opposite, or we're going to start turning in the opposite direction here. We're going to do 70. We're just going to go right to there. And we're going to go back in with our wooden trestle. Go back down to 1%. And we're not going to do that. We're not going to do that either. Dang it. Trying to make this work, and I'm very rapidly running out of time here. So as much as I would like to have this at a fairly consistent, steady grade, we're just going to have to make it steeper. We're going to start back here. And see if I can't make it just a little bit steeper. So we're going to do 2%. And we're going to come around we're just going to carry on like we had before. It's right about here. We're going to come around now. We're still at 2%, so this shouldn't be too very far away. Yeah, we can just leave it there. Yeah, we'll just leave it there, and I will cut back when it gets bright enough out to see, and we'll see where we end up. All right, so it looks like it's starting to get light enough out to see, so we're going to carry on. This is probably going to be the last 30 minutes or so of this video. So wherever we get, we get. And that's basically all I can do. So we're just going to see. Yeah, that may end up working. Let's see if I can't keep it from burying itself really soon, which unfortunately is not going to happen. All right, so we need to carry over here. And that's too tall. All right, so we just need to do little bits here. And bring it around, stop there, and come back the other direction. And hopefully we've got enough. We do not. Dang it. Oh boy. Yeah, we're trying to get around this ridge, which is if I had kept on with the 1%, we never would have got up to the top of the hill. But we kind of still need to keep on because we've got just enough of a climb left that if we're not careful, even the larger locomotives won't be able to get up the hill. So we need to be able to manage not only the height but the radius as well. Nice if it actually went as far as I wanted it to go, but it doesn't. Okay, let's go ahead and start bringing it back around here now. See if I can actually get it to curve back around far enough, fast enough. Doesn't look like it's going to make it, but we'll find out. Oh, okay. So, right on top of it so we can delete it. Makes no sense to me. We'll try something different. We're going to go in with no height, see where we end up. We're going to go 60. 60 around. We're going to start to climb again. And we're going to go right to, we can bring it in a little bit, right to about there. And we're going to go in with a retaining wall for the duration of this little hill here, regardless of how much height we get on it, because we're going to immediately swap back over to another bridge. But I want it straight, just like that. So right to about there. And we're going to go over to that next rise with our steel trestle. Right to about there. And it doesn't look like we're going to have the height to get there. So we're going to take that out. And we're going to go in with our steel trestle. But we're going to... Did that even connect? Yes, it did. Okay, but we're going to come around at this point. And we're going to see where it ends up. Get another 0.5% there. And we'll go right there. We're going to go back in with our retaining wall. We're going to come around. We're actually going to lower this down to 1% again. And we're going to go right to there. Now we can start yeah, we can start back in with the wooden trestle. So that's what we're going to do. And we're going to go right to about there. Go in with a wall again. And we're going to start hugging this wall once more. Actually, we're going to just do that. We're going to go right to there. And I think once we get around to where the crosshairs are, or fairly close to it, we should be right up at the top of this hill. And at that point, we're going to expand back out to 2 tracks and carry on. But for now, we're going to go back in with our wooden trestle. Let's see if we can't. Looks like we're going to have to increase our radius here, not radius, but slope for a short distance. Or maybe the remainder of the climb. I don't know. Hopefully it's not too much of a it's not too difficult of a climb. I would have liked to have had 2 tracks. I really would have. And maybe once I get up there, I can run another track down. But that bridge not giving me the clearance that I needed just really stung a lot more than it needed to. So we're going to straighten this out a little ways, or for a little ways. So right about there, we're going to put a short stretch of trestle in just for drainage. Going to come around right to about there. And we are going to go back in with our wall. And we're going to come around 50 meter radius, and we're going to take this little guy out because we don't need him derailing a locomotive. We're going to stick with our wall, but we're going to come back around the other way. And I think we're just about to the top of this hill. I could be wrong, but I think we're just about to the top of this hill. In fact, I do believe we are right at the top of the hill, so I'm going to start leveling off. And I'm going to bring this around. We're going to go right to there, and then we're going to go in with a trestle. Mainly because we're on a slope, and there's not enough of said slope to... Well, I was hoping that I could... Good God Almighty. I was hoping that I would have enough height by now to make this work. So we're going to actually have to... We're going to keep on with a 1% here. And we're going to go back around the other direction. We're going to go around that hill, if we can. which should allow us to get up to finally get up to this plateau. It seems just a little bit ridiculous that it's that close and we still can't get any kind of height, any kind of. Okay, let's actually try this here. Let's go right to there, and we're going to try and go in through this little gully here. Maybe we can save ourselves a part 2 of this particular build, and I'll just put in a, yeah, this will work. I'll just put in a dang second line down here off camera at some point. Continue on here. I mean, we're right there, right dang near to the top of the plateau, but for whatever reason, we just can't seem to get up there. All right, so I think with that, I'm going to go ahead and call it a day, and we're going to figure this out in the next episode. So, if you guys enjoyed this episode, leave a like and maybe subscribe if you like the content that I put out. And maybe take a look over at Patreon. The link's going to be somewhere up here on the yeah, we'll start from here. The link's going to be somewhere up here on the screen, and you'll get to see all of the uncut footage starting from day one. You'll get to see all the uncut footage from all the episodes that I turn out up to 3 days in advance. At higher tiers, you're going to get to eventually join me in live streams for this channel, and you'll get from day one, you'll be able to get access to watch Discord exclusive, Patreon exclusive live streams that they won't be recorded, so you'll get to see stuff that's not going to be on this channel. You'll also, as you get higher and higher in the tier list, you'll be able to have the opportunity to join in the game itself and play alongside me and other Patreon members. And eventually, I plan to add more benefits than just the Discord chat and the live streams and the previews. But for now, starting at $3 per month, you get access to all the videos that I produce up to 3 days before I put them out, depending on when I record them. I try to record them a day or two ahead of time and edit them the next day. This video is going out tomorrow at the time of recording, so after I get done recording, I've got to turn around and I've got to edit it and post it. So it's probably going to be edited tonight and posted tomorrow evening. Or it'll probably end up being posted tomorrow evening after I get done editing it tomorrow afternoon. It just depends. But my Patreons will get to see this tonight. As soon as I get done recording, they're going to get to see it. So with that, thank you guys again, and I will see you on the next one.